Hi guys, what is up? It is your girl. Hi guys, what is up? It is your girl Paige. This is nerve-wracking. Hi guys, what is up? It is your girl Paige. Yes, that's right, Paige. A lot has changed over here on this channel, and I hope you guys are noticing the change. Possibly see it as positive. So basically, if you haven't seen already, my channel name has changed to my full name, which is Paige Christie, which is also my maiden name. My actual legal name is Paige Nicholson, but that's besides the point. However, this change has come because I kind of feel like I've surpassed petty. I know, strange, weird. I'm uncomfortable with it too, but I'm 30 now, and when I first started this channel back in 2017, well, the channel started in 2016, but you guys hadn't seen a post from me until 2017 when I changed it over to a drama channel. But ever since this channel started in 2017, I was like 24 years old. I was in a different space. This was pre-marriage, pre-weight loss surgery, pre-kids, pre-everything. And I've done a lot of learning. I've done a lot of growing, I hope. And although there'll always be this fundamentally petty side of me that will never leave, like I am literally the type to dress you up and down on Twitter for no apparent reason. But at the same time, I'm just not as fazed by the bullshit as I used to be. And I've kind of grown through certain things. Like, I feel like in your 20s, you're so concerned with what other people think of you. Like, what will the elders think? And like now, I don't care. I don't care. I feel like I've gone past the point of caring about public perception of me, or if people like me, or if I'm, if people think I'm kind enough, if people think I'm sweet enough, do they think I'm angry? Am I aggressive? Am I come across wrong? I don't question myself like that anymore. And because of that, I feel like this transition needs to be acknowledged, because I'm aware that I have been a part of and I have participated in a lot of fuck shit that has happened on the internet. Don't worry, I'm very self-aware over here. But at the same time, I also want to acknowledge the changes that have happened, the opinions and stances towards certain topics that I no longer share, atoning for certain things, but also at the same time just acknowledging certain things that I'm aware that, these things did happen, purely because I think it's important for me to acknowledge my past in order to move forward to my future. So with that being said, let me just give you guys a couple of disclaimers. Disclaimer number one is that this is not an apology tour. I am not going to run around the internet apologizing to everybody whose feelings I may have hurt. I'm a human who has hurt many people's feelings. It's part of it. Sometimes if I feel like it's really deep, I might apologize. Most times, if it's not that deep, get over it, you're a grown adult. Number two, I realized as creating and compiling this list that a lot of the drama it is that I have been involved in, either by proximity or directly, has involved the person who unfortunately has passed away. And for that reason, I personally don't feel like it's positive to speak ill of the dead. So for that reason, I will be negating, unfortunately, like a large chunk of what has happened in my life and this space here on YouTube. But I will say, regardless of the good, the bad, the happy, the sad, the ugly, the beautiful, just a massive rest in peace to Here for the Tea. She will be greatly missed. Her contribution to the drama community will forever live on. And she's one of my main reasons for even creating a channel. Her, Sanders Kennedy, Rich Lux, Karina Kaboom, like the OGs. Oh, and and John Cookian, the OGs of the drama community that created the space it is that we know and love today. They all had impact, whether you like these people or not. They've all had significant impact on the community. So with that being said, a massive rest in peace to her, but I will be negating that part of the story. And I hope you guys will respect and understand why. So, with that being said, I feel like we need to start from the very beginning of my YouTube. So, we're calling this video Taking Accountability, but also taking a shot every time I fucked up. So we're about to get fucking drunk. So with that being said, let's get into the intro and let's get into it. Today's video is proudly sponsored by Atlas VPN. Atlas VPN have partnered with me so that I can give you guys the best VPN deal on the market. You can enjoy affordable online protection for just, how much? $1.39. What? That's good. What? That can't be right. $1.49. God damn. All right. That shit took me by surprise. Enjoy the most affordable online protection for $1.39 per month. And they also include a 30-day money-back guarantee. Atlas VPN boasts the most amazing online speeds, basically meaning that you can have gaming and streaming whilst being well protected, as well as being able to stream your favorite show with the best speeds around. Also, Atlas VPN allows you guys to protect multiple devices. So we're talking your mobile phone, your tablet, and guess what? It's unlimited. And you can do all of that with just one single subscription. Also with Atlas VPN, you have the ability to be able to stop adverts as well as malware, keeping you and your devices 100% protected. And they will also notify you if there is any sneaky people trying to steal your data. Atlas VPN have also set themselves apart from the rest of the market by being able to provide you guys with some of the best deals. So we're talking about online subscriptions and online shopping such as Netflix, etc., as well as other things such as airlines and hotels and so much more. Right now, Atlas VPN is running a huge discount. You can get a 3-year subscription for just 3 years. God damn. All right. Every time I'm like reading this, I'm like, huh? What? This is good. This means that you can get a 3-year subscription for the price of $1.39, as well as that 30-day money-back guarantee. But time is running out on this specific deal, so you need to make sure that you click the link in my description box down below so that you guys can get the best deal from Atlas VPN. So what are you waiting for? Thank you so much to Atlas VPN for sponsoring today's video and allowing me to make the kind of content it is that I really enjoy making. And with that being said, let's get straight into the video. Okay, so my first notable controversy is that I can remember from back in 2017 was the controversy between myself and Kendal Rae. Now, after this controversy, after me making a video response to her video, she made a video titled Dear Drama Channels, in which she basically said that all drama channels were trash.
What if I told you that there was an entire blossoming community here on YouTube of YouTubers that now create content talking about other YouTubers?
This is about beauty gurus.
Bitch! A dramatic Snapchat rant on Carly Bible's Snapchat.
Talking about Trisha Paytas, girl.
Kat Von D jumped on Instagram and denounced her friendship with Jeffree Star.
There are now YouTube channels that solely make content bashing people, talking about people, and gossiping about people, which they like to say that they're stating the facts, that they're like investigative journalists. Dude, you are like lower than TMZ. These channels are actually growing. Some of them have up to 300,000 subscribers, like as much as I do. And that's because people love to be petty. People love to see other people upset. People thrive off of watching other people in pain. And that is so sad.
And I just started creating content. I think my response video to Kendal Rae's video was literally my 4th video here on YouTube. And I took offense to it. And not just did I take offense to the video, I think at the time Kendal Rae's response to me via social media by blocking me and stuff may have got me in my feelings, which is funny because now I'm very much an advocate of don't get offended by a block. You know, it is what it is. Sometimes it's not that deep. Sometimes people just want to clear their timelines and stuff. I think that my response, whilst my video response was actually quite nice, I believe, I think that maybe my Twitter response or maybe the response from the community wasn't that nice, and possibly was able to prove her point further that at the time it was quite a toxic environment to be involved in. And I don't stand by that video anymore. A lot of what she was saying in terms of her losing a lot of money due to her content changing and, you know, the whole situation with her having a Patreon, and on her Patreon she was asking people for money on there. I saw it as to me that she had been given such a privilege, because I felt I was still working at the time. I felt that it was a privilege for me to have this additional revenue on YouTube, that she was being very ungrateful. And I don't think it was necessarily ungrateful. I think it was a vast change to something that, you know, had become her full-time job. I never stopped my full-time job until November of 2020. I don't think I'll have ever truly understood how you can live and die by the sword of YouTube until I actually gave up my job, which I did in 2020. So now I look back on those videos, the 2 videos it is that I made towards Kendal Rae, and think that maybe my approach was just not that great. So for that reason, I would 100% say, like, I super duper apologize to Kendal Rae for not at least understanding or trying my best to understand her position. And although I may not have agreed with some of her choices at the time, I do genuinely believe that I was wrong for not understanding. I came in just as the adpocalypse ended. I started creating content just as the adpocalypse ended. And, you know, maybe I was not the best person to talk about suck it up buttercup, because I still had the security of my job, which was something that Kendal Rae at that point didn't. So yeah, that was my first ever controversy here on YouTube. Okay, so in that video from 2017, I do believe that I was a shitty person. So for that reason, we're gonna take a shot. Cheers. Oh, I just spilt it, fuck. Oh, I deserve that. Yeah, I deserve that. Moving on to 2018, because I do believe that that was my only controversy in 2017 that didn't pertain to another person who we're not going to mention. So, 2018, we all know the story, okay? I don't even need to introduce this. You guys know the story. Myself and Jackie Aina beefing on the internet. Now, when I made my original videos on Jackie Aina, although I was very shady, I don't think that I was mean in any way. I mean, the videos are still up on my channel, so people can go back in time and take a look at these videos and judge for themselves whether they think that I was being a mean, nasty person or whatever. But I don't believe that I was. But we all know that in, I think it was June or July of 2018, that Jackie Aina had accused me of something that it is that I hadn't done. And this has been this long-standing situation that has happened on social media. And it's been like the catalyst behind a lot of fucked up decisions by me. For instance, taking up for Jeffree Star because he stuck up for me. That was a bad situation. I saw Jeffree Star as like this person who was advocating for me in a space where, especially when all of the drama between myself and Jackie Aina had happened, there was nobody advocating for me. There was nobody in my corner. It took for me to basically tell everybody that it wasn't me and try my best to provide proof of a situation that I had literally no involvement of, for people to change their perspectives and for the tide to turn. Because in the beginning, I mean, you guys can take a look at my social media, all of it's still up there. In that time period of 2018, my social media was flooded with people just being mean to me, horrible to me, asking me to kill myself, and just the worst due to the video it is that Jackie Aina had made. I think that because of that, there was a situation that I remember prominently that I feel like has kind of followed me and haunted me my entire YouTube career. And I think it's time for me to discuss it. So there was this, I will try and find the receipts, I'm sure they're out there. But there was this situation where Jackie Aina and Jeffree Star were in some kind of beef of their own, right? And it was alleged that Jeffree Star had said that Jackie Aina was a gorilla in some text messages between himself and a former friend that had been leaked and released online. Now, I at the time questioned the validity of these receipts. I, to this day, don't feel like we can 100% verify that these receipts are real. But at the same time, I remember that people were saying, you know, Jeffree Star called Jackie Aina a gorilla. How are you okay with this kind of thing online? I will try and find the receipts. If I've got them, I will post them up over here. And my response to that was whack. like so whack. And I look back on like, 3 years ago, 4 years ago when all of this was taking place, and I think to myself, Paige, that was fucked up. That was fucked up. And I feel like regardless of the situation between myself and Jackie Aina, I still should at least clean up my side of the street. So from that point, my response was, and I think it was something along the lines of, and if I've got the receipts, I will definitely post them here. I said something along the lines of, I would much rather be called a gorilla every day of my life than what it was that Jackie Aina did to me. And I think I was speaking from a personal disposition because I've experienced a personal situation with myself and Jackie Aina where they essentially ghettoized me. They named me as some kind of, financial thug stealing money from them. And I was hurt by that. Of course I was hurt by that. Anybody who had been and found themselves in that kind of a situation, like unfucking provoked, would have said to themselves like, yeah, this is fucked up.
But I'd also like to point out that this tweet was back in September 2019. So literally like 3 months after the event or 2 months after the event, depending. And I don't know, I just kind of like, did you guys expect this not to be that deep and that raw for me at that moment? Of course it was going to be deep and raw. It literally only just happened.
So my response was whack. I don't think I truly understood at the time the value of my place as a black woman here on social media, and I don't think I truly took into accountability the viciousness of those words, whether true or not. Whether I thought that these receipts were truthful or not, real or fake, is neither here nor there. Anyone calling anybody a gorilla, especially a person of color, is fucked up, and I should not have tried to minimize that to amplify how it was that I felt about an individual. That's where I went wrong, and that's where I fucked up. So for that reason, I can only apologize to Jackie Aina and anybody else who is a person of color or black who saw me act in such a way. Because now, looking back at that situation, I think to myself, like, of course everyone thinks you're a fucking idiot. That was fucking idiotic. So yeah, I fucked up big time there. Regardless of the fake accusations, of how it made me feel, of how I was hurt, of all of that shenanigans, I should have really valued my place in this universe as a black woman, and I didn't. And I didn't show people how to be a good black woman, and I should have. So for that reason, I apologize, and that is... I said that this wasn't like an apology tour, and I'm trying not to make it an apology tour, but I do genuinely feel like I need to fucking apologize for that, because, yeah, I fucked up. I fucked up hugely. And I let my feelings get involved in a situation that had nothing to do with my situation. Nothing to do with my feelings. I do, however, want to say to the community, and this is something that I've seen in the past couple of years that I feel like I genuinely do need to speak out about, is that I see a lot of people using me and Jackie Aina's situation in order to silence or quiet the voice of Jackie Aina when she speaks out about anything pertaining to people of colour. Because the trope is always, well, you did this to a person of colour. But it doesn't negate how she feels as a woman of colour and how she feels as a black woman when explaining her position. An altercation that happened between two black women should not be the reason that you use to discount, devalue, discredit a black woman's voice. And that's something that I've seen that's happened over the years, partly stuff that I have actually perpetuated myself by saying, yeah, well, fuck this bitch because she did this. Regardless of our personal altercations, now as a grown adult, I'm beginning to realise that that's actually the smallest thing in this whole entire equation, and that when we are listening to the voices of people of colour, we need to open our ears and truly listen. So for that reason, I definitely fucked up. So we're gonna take another shot. I fucked up twice. Should I take 2 shots? I fucked up twice. That was 2 fuck ups. The gorilla fucking comment that was ridiculous, and then also perpetuating a narrative where people were able to silence the voice of a woman of colour. I fucked up twice. I definitely did. Bottoms up, bitches. No, I fucked up once. Okay, I'm not gonna do a second shot. Fuck that. Oh. Ooh. Moving on to another situation that happened in 2018 was my argument with Peter Monn, one of the drama channel OGs. Okay, so Peter Monn and me were friends. Okay, that's the only way I can put it. I would say that we were friends, not super duper close, not like besties or whatever, but we'd reach out to each other and talk frequently. And when Peter Monn and me fell out, what the fuck did we fall out over? What the fuck did we fall? There was an argument between the pair of us. Let's try and find that. Because we argued on my honeymoon. I was in Jamaica when he was arguing with me on You Now.
Your issues are with me. Like, I really, to be honest with you, like, I don't get it.
Do you want me to be completely candid and honest?
Yeah, I want to hear it.
Okay, I'm hurt. I'm hurt. I have been hurt for months.
Okay.
And I think it all spiraled from that whole Star incident, and then from that moment, it's just
From the
gradually.
From the what?
Huh?
I can't hear you. I'm sorry. From the what incident? Did you say the Star?
Yeah. From the Star incident, and then it just gradually got worse for me, and I just lost like so much faith in you. That's how I feel at this moment in time. So much faith in you, because when I first came onto YouTube, I give so much credit to the fact that when I first came onto the scene and started making my videos or whatever, you were one of the first people to, say, hey, people, you should go check her out and all this kind of stuff. And you were definitely like a friend in my head or whatever. And I think that's probably part of it as well, is that you were so much a friend in my head. But when I felt that things weren't reciprocated in the way that they should have been, or in the way that I felt they should have been, I was very, very, very much alone. Like, if I don't want to like rehash all the old shit, but it does, for me personally, it does stem from there, and it hurts. It hurts, and I don't think that I ever really saw you. It felt like whatever apologies that I ever received from you was only because you felt like you needed to keep the status quo rather than actually feeling something. So I just felt let down.
Okay. Is that it? Is that everything?
That, for me, from my personal perspective, that's it.
Because you've had a lot to say the last couple days.
I have.
And I want to say this to you, okay?
Yeah.
I don't own this because you choose to do what you want to do with your life.
Mm-hmm.
But girl, I hope that I did not interrupt your honeymoon in any way, because I don't want to be part of that, okay?
No.
Myself and Peter Monn went at it via You Now. This is how long this is. Via You Now, the pair of us were having a conversation and talking about our upset with each other that had been public and private. I went through and I looked back at some of the old DMs it is that myself and Peter Monn sent to each other in that time frame, and I must say that looking back on this entire situation, it's very clear that I was coming from a place of hurt. I genuinely believe that Peter Monn, this person who had supported me throughout my entire YouTube career, was a friend, and then to see them in my head, and I have to say this very clearly, it was 100% in my head, coming for me in a video really upset me, because I was like, I thought we were friends. Anyway, so it turns out that Peter Monn has said that the video is that he made at the time, which is such an insignificant video, I don't even think I'd be able to find it in his archive, wasn't even about me. But at the same time, some of the stuff is that he said at the time was a little bit, I don't know, like aggressive and disparaging towards myself, and I was hurt by that, and I would be 100% lying if I said that the hurt it is that I felt and experienced from Peter Monn, even with him literally shouting at me.
Well, Paige, your friendship and I was a lot different than Dustin and I. We talked almost every day for hours at times.
Yeah, I'm not saying that me and you are nowhere near being the same as you and Dustin's relationship. Mine and Dustin's relationship hasn't always been the healthiest. So no.
It's all of a sudden, isn't it? It
I
sure is
am,
now.
yeah.
What's changed in the last couple days, Paige?
I just feel like I can never speak. Do you want to hear me speak? Because it just feels like you want to vent, and if you want to vent, then vent, but then don't use me as the
Go ahead.
the baton to vent against. Do you get what I mean?
In a live stream whilst I was on my honeymoon. If I was to turn and look back at the video is that I made on Peter Monn, it was definitely coming from a place of hurt. I was hurt by him, therefore my video on him was like, you know, okay, so this is the guy. This is me trying to show my audience. So this is the guy is that you guys think is amazing. Well, he isn't. He was a dick to me and he's probably going to be a dick to you. I don't think that that's the best place to come from when creating a body of work. Do I look back on that body of work and think that what I made was a lie, and factual, you know, unable to be evidenced by things? No. That's why when me and Peter Monn spoke about this again in 2019, I was like, dude, send me the receipts that, you know, you state should clear your name, and then I'll take the video down and make a retraction on my channel. He never did that. He never responded. He never continued with that. So I just kind of left it as it was. But at the same time, I know that the reason behind why I made that video was definitely from a place of hurt. I felt like my friend fucked me over publicly, and it was painful for me at the time. I don't also negate the pain it is that I've caused to Peter Monn as well. And hopefully now that I'm a little bit more grown up, because at the time all of this was happening, this was in 2018, so I do believe I was either 24 or 25 September, so I would have been 25 by this point. And looking back on it, I definitely feel as if I wish that we'd have been better, both of us, not just myself but him too, privately in the DMs, at being able to have a conversation with each other. I was very much in a place, due to other outside factors on social media to do with other people that I'm not going to discuss, in a place where I thought that everybody was out to get me, that I couldn't trust anybody, that nobody should be trusted, because if I was to trust them, they were just going to, you know, use whatever it is that I did or said to drag me. So I was definitely coming from a place of not being able to trust anyone. And if I'd have shown a little bit more trust towards Peter Monn, that, you know, that the situation wasn't exactly what I thought it was, maybe we could have moved past it in a more positive way. And because of my reaction, obviously then caused a reaction from him and vice versa, and it just became this very negative, toxic environment between the two of us. I think the good thing that has happened from me making my video on from me making my video on Peter Monn is the fact that we no longer speak, and I think that that's a positive. I know it sounds awful, like, oh, what, you don't speak to him, so now it's a positive. You were friends with him and you're not friends with him anymore, and now it's a positive. It's positive because we dropped it. From that point forward, the situation was dropped. We moved on. And I feel like, as sad as it was, like, that situation was a part of healing. Would I be open to having a friendship with Peter Monn in the future? I don't know. I think I'd be open to be cordial with him. Because a lot of my friends, such as Dustin Daly, who him and Dustin Daly weren't friends for a long time, have been able to reconnect and find that friendship again. Would I be open to being okay with him again? Yeah, for sure. But would I be open to being his friend again and letting him in when I was hurt before? I don't know. And I feel like that's a learning process that I have to deal with, is that I have to, one of the biggest things it is that I've got as a personality flaw is that I have grudges. I hold on to grudges, and I find it extremely hard not to hold on to those grudges and to let them go. And it is a work in progress, but I don't know whether I can just let that situation go. Not the situation itself, I feel like I've pretty much let that go. But, like, I feel like I don't know whether I can let go of the hurt that I felt at the time, because it was valid and it did hurt. So, in terms of, like, a positive way to move forward from this, Peter Monn's content has become way more interesting to me than it ever has in the past. I've always said that Peter Monn has, like, a demographic of older people it is that who enjoys content, and I feel like now I'm moving to this place of being like 30 plus where I'm enjoying his content, and I'm like, god damn, It's like the first time being like, okay, if you're from the UK, you'll understand this. It's like the first time hearing a song that you love on BBC Radio 2. And you're just like, oh, I'm old now. So that's how I kind of feel. Like, I enjoy his content a little bit more now. And I do watch him from time to time. And it's good to see him thrive. And it's good to see him doing great and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I wish him all the best. No hate. All love here. But, yeah, I hope he feels the same about me. I'd be interested to know if he feels the same about me. We'll see. Maybe he still hates my guts. We'll find out. So with that being said, I was definitely a dick who was in their feelings. So we're going to take another shot. Shit. Do you know what? Should we do a slammer? We should. I'm going to do a slammer. Lick and drink. You ready? So much better. Oh my god, it's so much easier when it's a slammer. Okay, so swiftly moving on to 2019. Now, the main one from 2019 is a situation with a young lady called Earf Muva. Now, I see their name pop up every so often as like this random person that everybody seems to bring up whenever I'm like apologizing or atoning for something in my social media past. And then this person whose encounter to me, and this is the God's honest truth, felt extremely insignificant. It was just somebody who I was arguing with online. But I feel like the impact to that individual may have been a lot more than I perceived it to be, because I just can't quite understand why it kept getting brought up. So if you're not following me on Twitter and you don't know the full drama, everything it is that I've spoken about thus far has been not so much Twitter related, but kind of spilled onto YouTube. So everybody pretty much knew what was going on with these situations. Whereas a lot of things, especially from 2019 onwards, are pretty much like Twitter segregated. Okay, so the situation with Earf Muva was as follows. Earf Muva made a video called Dear Rich Lurks and Other Complicit Drama Channels, or something like that. And I think her video was mainly pertaining towards Rich Lurks, and I was somehow implicated in it. I don't quite remember the video. I would honestly have to sit down and watch the two videos it is that she's made, because I think there's another one that's called Petty Paige, You're Done. You're done out here, bro. But there's another video it is of theirs that they made pertaining to me as well. I'd have to go back and watch those videos, but to be honest, I don't think I really want to. Because my biggest issue that I had with Earf Muva is how they degraded my race, in a sense of they called me things online, which I'm saying this now as unfactual, as because I do believe they deleted a lot of tweets.
Okay, yeah, so I did do a little bit of research, went back into the archives and all that kind of stuff, and honestly finding a single tweet that pertains to me is like finding a needle in a friggin' haystack. That girl has deleted everything that they have ever said on Twitter about me. So a lot of the times when I'm talking about them, it seems as if I'm talking to my goddamn self, because literally it's this tweet was deleted by user, this tweet was deleted by user, this tweet was deleted by user. So you can either take my word for it or go and see some of the responses that were left by other people. Even Smokey Glow chimed in and basically told her, you're mad whack for this. So I know that I'm not frigging imagining this shit, but I just think it's kind of funny, especially now in hindsight a few years later, that they are more than willing to put videos up about me, talking about me in a negative and disparaging light, but when their true colours are out on social media and the way it is that they, you know, spoke about me, spoke about my husband, spoke about a bunch of different things, that they decide to delete it all.
But she called me a coon. She said that I was an Uncle Tom, a tap dancer, and just said a lot of things that like degraded me as a black woman. And I take pride in myself. I take pride in being a black woman. I take pride on being like first generation Windrush child. I take pride in being a Jamaican. I take pride in being black British. I take pride in who I am. And it was extremely annoying for somebody to say that because I'm you know, not being super duper proactive when it comes to policing other people's behavior on the internet, that I was in turn not a very good black person. I don't feel like my identity as a black person should ever really come into question from anyone. Nonetheless, and this is just like my personal point of view, nonetheless, from somebody who doesn't have my black experience, in the sense of, I do believe that she is a mixed race woman. We understand how colorism and things like that works in this realm. Therefore, it is, to me, almost even more so hurtful to not be seen as quote unquote black enough by somebody else whose black experience is, to me, somewhat uncomparable. It's uncomparable because my experience is so totally different to yours. And I would never sit down and never have, can I just say, point that out, never have invalidated this individual's blackness, because I believe that their blackness is just as valid as any other person's blackness. And I'm not about to sit there and degrade their blackness in order to make myself feel better or to feel a part of the crew, because it seemed as if there was like a group of black people online, black content creators, black individuals, who were sitting there shilling all of this thing, saying Paige isn't good enough, Paige can't sit with us, Paige can't sit with us because of this, Paige can't sit with, she has a completely different and varying opinion to us, therefore she's anti-black. Like, and this is something that I experienced, which I will get into a little bit later when we get into the Augie situation, where white people seem to, for some bizarre reason, not all white people, can I just say, but some white people, for some bizarre reason, will see me as so pro-black and so riding that black horse that I think that all white people are shit. And then on the opposite side of the spectrum, we have black people who are like, she can't sit with us because she's not acting pro-black enough. And that is the place I find myself as a content creator constantly, and I feel like we just need to dead that narrative in general. So in terms of Earf Muva, the situation, how it escalated and how I had a personal part in it, wasn't the fact that she made a video, wasn't the fact that I responded to the video publicly on my Twitter, was the fact that I got sent some information in regards to Earf Muva, that their father was a evangelical priest who had been involved in some quote unquote money laundering situations to do with charity fraud, etc, etc. And I posted that to the internet, exasperating the situation further than it needed to be. Her father was not involved in the beef it is that me and this young lady had, and for that reason I shouldn't have posted that, because I was strawmanning an argument that essentially this person ain't shit because, and this person ain't shit because of their actions, not because of what their father did and their involvement and how I was trying to embarrass them. I am a Scorpio rising, but beyond that, I'm a fucking bitch. And sometimes I can be real petty for no reason. And that was definitely a petty for no reason situation. I didn't need to bring up the fact that her father was involved in all of this situation. I'm sure that she probably didn't want that information out on the internet, and I put it there.
I will, however, say there are a lot of people online who are basically calling me out for doxing Earf Muva. I hear that all the time. That is like literally one of the biggest things that I get in the comment section of videos, is that I need to apologise to Earf Muva for doxing their family. First and foremost, her father is a pastor, he's a public figure, right? For all intents and purposes, a pastor would qualify as a public figure. And not just that, if you were to search her father's name or her name under any parameters on social media, there are literally like an album, there is like a playlist where they talk about their lives, they show pictures of them growing up, she talks about her experience being raised by a white father, and you know, how she was adopted by him, how they disciplined and all that kind of stuff. Like, there's a lot of information that were put out by these people themselves. So I kind of really dislike the notion that I dox somebody, because I can't dox somebody with readily available information. Beyond all of that, her stepdad is a Christian rapper as well. Like, he has albums and hundreds of thousands of people who watch and listen to his content. Like, this is the equivalent of me doxing fucking Doja Cat. Like, Come on. I mean, for fuck's sake, there is an entire video that he made called Fearless where he talks about her mother's pre-salvation life. So at this point, I don't feel like people can turn around and say, hey, Paige, you doxed XYZ. There's no doxing. They have put their entire life on the internet for everybody to see. Nobody doxed you. That whole trope needs to be dead now. You can dislike me. You can dislike the stuff that it is that I said. You can dislike my previous actions from the past. You can even dislike the way in which I decided to post this information to the internet. I get that. But you can't tell me that I doxed somebody, because that's just objectively untrue.
Do I regret it? Yes, to a certain degree. Did it come from a place of hurt? 100%, because somebody was trying to invalidate my blackness, and I was like, well, you're not so great of a person either, so if you want to play this game, let's go tit for tat. And sometimes tit for tat isn't the best approach, and I should have tried to be a better person. And regardless of this person's disparaging, mean, disgusting, horrible comments towards myself, whether they feel it's valid or not, I don't care. It was not a good place for me to take it there, and I took it there, and I shouldn't have taken it there. So yeah, very much a dick moment from Paige. So back to the shot. Bottoms up, up. Let me see up. Margarita on a rats. Can I get salt all around that rim tray? Always like you, Trey. Do you think you can buy me a bottle of rosé? Okay, let's get it now. Do you like Nicki Minaj? Do I like Nicki Minaj? Pull up in Sri Lanka. Right, ready? Oh. We have the Christmas party of 2019. So let's get into the Christmas party. We all know about the Christmas party. We all know what went down. Paige was obnoxious. She acted like a dick. She acted like a twat. And this is honestly coming off the fact that I had freedom. At the time, I was going through a severe amount of postnatal depression. And this is not to be an excuse, by the way, because I don't want people to sit there and think like, oh, she's using postnatal depression as an excuse to be a dick. No, I was a dick. I'm ready to own that bitch. But I was definitely going through postnatal depression. And because of that, when I had this freedom, I just kind of like went crazy. I had been pregnant. I hadn't been able to drink. I hadn't gone outside. I hadn't partied. I was indoors the entire time that I was pregnant. I was just at home making content and just trying my best. I was at work as well. Like I said, I didn't quit my job until November 2020. So I was at work some days and stuff like that. And it just took a while. And when I went to Houston, the first time I had an amazing time, even though my luggage didn't arrive. If you aren't aware, I showed up to Houston and my luggage didn't show up with me. And then the second time I went to Houston, I just went crazy. Like, I had so much fun because I was like, I'm free. I'm so free. My kid isn't here. And I just had a great time. It was almost like I was scared of losing, like any parent who's had a kid will understand this, especially. I was scared of losing my identity. I was like so scared of losing who I was. Like who I was prior to being Fion's mum. I just wanted to make sure that I was still that bitch. I was still her. And I went above and beyond to make sure that I was still that bitch. I was still her. I was dressing up in Houston every day like it was a catwalk for some fucking reason, which doesn't make sense because 99.9% of the time I literally look like a homeless person. Yeah, just wasn't acting my best self. So there was a live stream. We all know the Christmas stream, the live stream, where people asked me about my opinion on certain people. There was a little bit of controversy kind of brewing in the subculture of, you know, Smokey Glow had made a video basically saying that she didn't want to go to the drama Christmas party.
And at the end of the day, what it comes down to is even though slowly the past few months I've been sort of associating with people and trying to get to know people in a community that I feel I'm a part of, even though I've been doing that, I don't know any of these people personally. So I can't sit here and vouch for them, which is one of the biggest reasons I don't want to go to this party, because I cannot vouch that they are good people. I don't
know. And then like when I met these people and I hung out with these people and I saw that these people were good people, all I thought to myself was like, these aren't bullies. Like, why would you say that? And then I took it upon myself to, when the questions were posed, to answer them. Now, I have to just say this for the record, is that the entire internet made me feel bad for answering a question that was asked to me. So y'all asked the question, and then when I answered the question, y'all had a problem with me answering the question. And then I'm the drama for answering the question. So I'm supposed to navigate and show discernment throughout all of the comment section regardless. We had a situation where people were reading comments to us.
Do you guys think James Charles, Jeffree Star, and Tati will ever be friends again?
No. No. Hell no.
If it benefits their wallets, yes. Hell yes.
So there was Dee and my husband, I do believe, who were reading the comments to us and hiding certain questions from us. And in the chat, and if I can find a receipt, I will show it on the screen. In the chat, there were people who were getting upset with us for not answering specific questions, who were getting increasingly angry at Dee, who was the main person who was predominantly reading out the questions, for not asking us these specific questions. Because y'all wanted to see the reaction. Y'all wanted to see the drama. Y'all wanted to see it unfold. But then, when I answered the question as honestly and as frankly as I needed to, I was a bully. I was the bad person. I was the mean person. I was disrespectful. I was coming for these girls. And these girls were able to create little victim complexes around themselves. And I'm sorry, I'm just going to have to be honest about that. Not so much Smokey Glow. She pretty much handled that very chill, but definitely Ashlye Kyle, for sure. The reason that I unfollowed Ashlye Kyle was just purely because she had her whole situation with I don't fuck with, and for that reason is why I don't want anything to do with that whole situation. Anybody who associates with her at this point is not somebody that I wish to associate with anymore. She said a lot of crap about me, my family, and my kid. I don't want that to be something that somebody else is okay with. She was very happy about the fact that was nice about her kids, and it made me feel like, oh well, fuck my kids then, innit? You know? So that's the reason why.
I will say why I unfollowed Ashlye as well, because I don't like virtue signaling, and I also thought that she saw an opportunity that there are a lot of people going against people that are here, so she wanted to sit down and tell her truth about how she has been scared to post videos, she's been scared to speak up and all this, and it made it seem as if behind the scenes we are bullying people and be like, oh, if you speak about us or something, we're gonna come for you. That's not the case, and I don't appreciate that, and I also don't appreciate that she made it seem like we unfollowed her because of her video. I have not watched the video, and that is that.
As far as I'm concerned, I feel like I was villainized in that situation for something that, like, I shouldn't have been villainized for. And I feel like I'll take this one to the grave with me. So as far as I'm concerned, this, like I said, this is not an apology tour. I'll acknowledge that I had a choice not to answer that question, but I answered the question that you guys wanted me to answer. And you guys got increasingly upset when I didn't answer that question on my live stream. And because of that, I was labeled a bully and a villain because I answered the question that you guys asked. If you didn't ask the question, there wouldn't have been an answer because absolutely nobody was even thinking about those people that day. That's just the God's honest truth. But it became that, like, Paige and co were like mean, horrible bullies. This is very much to me where we realized that, you know, how hard we hounded certain people was not necessary. That was a moment that wasn't necessary. Y'all hounded me specifically. Like, fuck my counterparts. Love Nick, love Dustin, love Rich, love all of them. Jay can't say the whole fucking crew, love you all. But y'all really went after me for absolutely fucking no reason. Absolutely no reason. And labeled me a bully. Like I was attacking people. When you asked me a question. The community asked me a question. And then got upset with me for not answering that question. So this is an acknowledgement of that moment, but I'm not apologizing. Absolutely not. And certain people, aka Ashlye, can be upset about that as well, because she was very angry and told me to go fuck myself.
Paige, and I'm gonna say this as nicely as possible, I literally went from wanting to get rid of all the hatred in my heart to you. I don't really have any hatred towards you. I'm just kind of like, meh, you can go fuck yourself. And that's honest to God how I feel. You can go fuck yourself. True tea.
Bit extreme. Nobody spoke like that to you at all, ever, or even showed that level of anger or vim towards you. But that's what I received. And people clapped and applauded her because they were like, you did a great job, sweetie. No, I'm sorry. This is like I said, it's not an apology to her. This is an acknowledgement, but I'm not apologizing for that. Sorry. You guys are... I said I'm not apologizing for that, sorry. Makes no fucking sense. But I'm not apologizing for that. You guys were upset with me over something that honestly I do not care to take back, because you asked for my opinion and then be upset with my opinion when I'm a commentator who gives their opinion on the daily about various different situations, but you felt that I was a bully because of my opinion that you asked for. Sorry, I'm not doing that. Y'all really tore me to shreds over that, and I'm not having it. So, yeah, I'm glad that I have the hindsight to look back at that situation and be a lot stronger than I was in the moment, because in the moment that literally ruined my life. I'm just gonna be honest. Fucking ruined my life. I was already going through postnatal depression and I just spiraled after that moment. But we're good. We're not suicidal anymore. Love that for us. And yeah, we keep it pushing. So it's all some rando person's fault in the first place. Oh god, yeah. It literally came out of literally nowhere. Like, if we were to look back at that whole live stream, it just wasn't what people thought it was. Like, if you were to look at that situation in hindsight now in 2022, I'm very sure that you would watch that live stream with different eyes and think, what did everyone fucking flip over? Because that's literally how it was. Like, there was nothing to flip over. But because we were all like public enemy number one at that point anyway, I got dragged, like, horrendously. And I look back at that and I'm like, why did I allow people to treat me so badly? Okay, so the next one was the dim sum comment. Okay, so some of you guys will know from Twitter. Like I said, a lot of what happened in 2019 was to do with Twitter. A lot of you guys will remember on Twitter that there was this comment that I made to this account that no longer exists, that I feel was there to be an antagonist towards myself. They were dragging me, as a lot of people were in the time that I was over at Houston. A lot of people had an issue with me being in Houston and hanging out with the likes of Nick Snyder, Dustin Daly and Rich Lux, because this was the first time we all met and stuff. And whilst I was there, they were treating me awfully. I was on the receiving end of a hell of a lot of hate, and I don't feel like anybody on the internet can say otherwise, even if you try to disseminate what happened. Essentially, I was on the receiving end of so much hate. I couldn't even go online without people attacking me profusely. I was on the receiving end of a lot of hate, just in general. And it was just a rough time. And I was just, you know, plastering a fake smile on my face and just trying to keep pushing. Anywho, when that situation happened, there was an account that was created that had a picture of themselves as a mug. The mug was a Shirley Gampy mug. I explained it in one of my videos, but I'll post the video here so you guys can hear my explanation.
So a Twitter user by the name of Controversy T and I had an exchange on Twitter. This is our exchange. I was explaining, as I stated previously, that my chat was littered with people asking the same question, so I just answered. This person basically said to me, and I'm paraphrasing, "Why are you blaming your audience? Take accountability for yourself." This user had completely missed my point. I wasn't blaming my audience, I just simply said that people had the question, so I answered. So instead of continuing the back and forth with this user, as at that point I had been bombarded on social media with everybody calling me a mean girl, a bully, Regina George, all the names under the sun, I told them, and quote,
Go and eat some salmon with your dim sum ass. People took this as a racially aggravated term towards Asian people. I said that this was a term that was used in Britain to call somebody dumb. Now, whilst the majority of British Twitter may not have heard of this phrase before, there was a few who did. However, these people's remarks were not included in any of the 47 YouTube videos that were made about me in my absence. People also felt as if the Urban Dictionary reference for dim sum, which was created in October 2018, over a year ago, wasn't a strong enough reference to state that people had said this colloquially, or that this was a term that anybody used. And then when all else failed, the assumption was made that I made this racially aggravated tweet based upon the photograph of the individual in the picture, which was of an inanimate object. It was of a cup, but it also had a woman's face on it. People felt as if this was a depiction of an Asian woman on a cup, which not only is just an assumption, but also like downright wrong. First of all, before I delve deeper into this situation and give y'all a real history lesson about the origin of all of this, can I just add that with everything that I've said on my platform to do with racism and calling out other people's racism, do you not think it would be bold, very bold of me in 2019 to say an intentionally racist tweet aimed towards a person that people perceive, I believe, to be Asian? So let's take a quick history lesson and delve deeper. First of all, let's take a look at the profile picture, which is a teacup with an old woman's face on it. From this, there is absolutely no way for me to have made any assumption on racial identity, because it's not even a human face. But also, I recognise this face. I felt as if I'd seen this face before, and it's because I had. This cup is actually an antique collector's item called a Toby mug, a Toby jug, or a Toby cup. My late grandmother actually used to collect them and display them on her mantelpiece. The woman depicted on this particular cup is a woman by the name of Sarah Gamp, or Sarah Gamp. She is the archetype developed by Charles Dickens in 1843 to 1844 in his novel Martin Chuzzlewit. This character was actually based off a friend of Charles Dickens who was also a nurse. She was characterised as an older lady with small eyes who wore a green/blue shawl over the top of her head and also carried an umbrella. That's why another British colloquial/informal term for an umbrella is a gamp. So when I say go fetch me my gamp, I'm saying go fetch me my umbrella. This came from the characterisation of this iconic British woman.
Good morning, Mrs. Gap.
Oh, Mr. Moe, Mrs. Moe. Oh, forgive me if I don't curtsy, but I don't know as I should be able to straighten up again.
You do seem to be somewhat encumbered. Girls, help Mrs. Gap with her bags.
Oh, thank you, dear.
So, to be completely clear, the depiction of the person on this cup is a British woman, not an Asian woman. And the assumption of racial identity based on slanted or small eyes is in of itself racist. Because you are placing racial identity onto not only a fucking inanimate object, but also based upon your own fucked up societal beauty standards of what you believe an Asian person should look like. Go figure. So now people ask me why I said go and eat some salmon before referring to the account as a dim sum ass. And honestly, it could have just as easily have been chips or tortillas. I'm just telling somebody to go and eat something rather than to go and jump off a cliff. It's my way of saying you're hangry or you've got sand in your vagina, calm down. And when somebody asked about it, I said, salmon dim sum. You're telling me you've never had that before? And basically I was just trolling because at this point I had had enough of people constantly attacking me on social media, because I expected this person to go out of their way and like search salmon dim sum onto Google and become even more confused than they were in the first place, because anybody who's had dim sum, because I love that shit, would know that salmon is not a primary component of dim sum. In fact, it's mostly pork. Maybe this was not the best or the most tasteful way of trolling my audience, granted, but I was in Texas and I pretty much had it that day because the attacks were just relentless.
The point of the matter is that anything can be racist if you are looking for racism. The tweet had no racial connotations and was backed up by a minority, granted, of British people who had also heard of the term. Nobody chose to look at that. It was also backed up by a colloquial terminology website, Urban Dictionary, over a year ago, but nobody wanted to acknowledge that reference. So the narrative of Petty Paige is racist was perpetuated across social media without anyone actually taking the time to really delve in or look into the situation fully. Just on face value, based upon emotion. In Britain, we have a breadth and depth of culture. The United Kingdom as a whole can fit 3 times into the space of Texas. And yet there is so much culture here. As a small country, we have 4 different languages. We have Welsh, we have Celtic, we have Gaelic, and we have the Queen's English. Our accents and dialects can change within 40-mile radiuses. Someone from Cardiff will not sound like or speak like somebody from Ronderson and Taff. Someone from Birmingham will not sound like or speak like somebody who is from the Black Country. And somebody who is from Leeds will not speak like or sound like somebody who is from Barnsley. Our wording, phrasing and vocabulary will completely change. Some people will remember a video that I posted by the Yorkshire Pros, who was doing a poetry/situational comedy reading. And barely anybody, British people included, could understand what this man had to say. Here's a clip.
Now, since back in summer, I've not been home with our lass. I've been away grafting, addling me brass. So to get home this weekend, I didn't have to look forward. Getting treated like a king, treating time like it's borrowed. We can do what you want this weekend, said wife, and I'll cook up best snap that's had in their life. We can go off with dog to Dales or Peaks, or they can sit on settee and put up their feet. There is a couple of bits I couldn't do by myself, but there's no massive rush, you've just come home then. My radiators won't bleeding, it'll save brass on heating. Oh, there's some light bulbs for changing, more efficient with lighting. Oh, in roof out in shed, I've noticed an oil. Hey, and while you're outside, have a look at that soil. Them weeds want pulling, and gutters full of leaves. I can pile on drive what's fell off at trees. They'll want sweeping up, and while I was at that moss'll want scrubbing off at path round at back. They don't come for grasping, well, next year now, they'll have to go to tip. They mun as well fill up car. Get some room made in loft, there's some tackle wants clearing. And while I was up there, Christmas is nearing. Fetch dark decorations, them lights for outside. Bugger off with your mistletoe, get your jobs rectified. But no, there's no rush. Enjoy your weekend till Sunday. Just as long as you're done, before that's back at work Monday.
Yet, for some bizarre reason, British culture should be a blanket for all, and British people will have all had the same upbringing, with no colloquial or dialectal differences. I resent that narrative, and the user that made the most popular video on the whole situation surrounding myself and the racism claims, It's Fringy, somehow became the point of reference for what we do and say in Britain, because her experience of Britain is going to be completely different to my experience of Britain. I am the first generation grandchild of Windrush of Jamaican descent. I was not raised anywhere near London, and the people there will have a completely different British experience. In fact, I would have more in common with a first generation grandchild of Windrush of Punjab descent who lives in Bradford than I ever will with Fringy. She is nowhere close to my story, and neither will she understand it.
I'm from what I lived close to, just outside of the capital. And I've lived here my whole life, which is London. And I can safely say, I will put coins down on this. I have never heard a single soul use this as slang for someone being moronic.
Her second point is that dim sum is not a variation of Cockney rhyming slang, but also that doesn't allow for linguistic changes that happen or occur over years. She states that Tommy Thumb is the slang for dumb, and that is the end of that.
No, but this is some Cockney slang, like, oh my god, how could you not consider this Fringy? Here's the thing, it's just not. Because Cockney slang, they just wouldn't do that. The Cockney slang for dumb is Tom Thumb. It's not dim sum. I can tell you that now, it's not dim sum. I know it's not. Like I said, I'm put coins on it. It's just not.
Well, let's take a look at the linguistic changes that have happened over years over a common Cockney rhyming slang phrase, having a laugh. Used in a sentence, you said that? You're having a laugh. The Cockney rhyming slang for you're having a laugh is you're having a bath. Then somewhere down the line, it changed to you're having a bubble bath. Then somewhere down the line, it changed to you're having a bubble.
Bruv, you are having a bubble.
And then somewhere down the line, it changed to "you're having a giraffe." And I shit you not, whilst doing my research for this, apparently Turkish bath also means you're having a laugh. Like, I could not even make this shit up. Linguistically, that Cockney rhyming slang phrase has changed over the years, colloquially, of how we use it. And also, sometimes things just simply aren't known until they become popularised. For instance, the phrase "getting mortal" in the UK, which is a Newcastle term for getting drunk, wasn't something that was commonly known until it became popularised by the British TV show Geordie Shore. And now everybody knows that phrase. So just because it's an uncommon phrase does not mean that it simply doesn't exist. And I don't expect Fringy to know that also, but I also don't expect it to become the spokesperson for Britain. A white cis female should not become the spokesperson of cultural diversity in Britain, and that is just my 2 cents. However, what I do understand is that racism can be placed upon words that aren't inherently racist. For instance, I am of Jamaican descent, and we use the word picnic. In Jamaican culture, in the patois dialect, which is a form of pidgin English, picnic is just the term to describe a child. So when I say "leave my picnic alone," I'm saying "leave my child alone." However, this term takes new meaning when it is used in North America by North Americans. The term picnic was used to talk about black children, and they were depicted in pictures and drawings with extremely dark skin, minstrel lips, big smiles, and they were depicted as docile, placid, dumb. Essentially the tameable black. They were even depicted in children's cartoons such as Disney and the Rupert Bear comics. But now this has pretty much been erased from North American culture. But in its normal terminology, there is no racial connotations associated with that word. The same with the word Negro, the same with the word mulatto, Sambo, Negra. They are all non-racist descriptor terms. However, when used by North Americans or people that people consider colonizers, they take on a whole new meaning, a meaning of pain. So I understand how my term dim sum could be interpreted by the Asian community as a slur, so I apologized. Not for what I said itself, because then I'd have to take away my own cultural element of that phrase's meaning, and that I would have to place a level of racism on this term when that term's usage isn't directed specifically and only just to the Asian community. But I did want to apologise for the impact that my words had on the Asian community, because I simply didn't see the term dim sum as anything else other than saying that somebody was dumb. People felt as if my apology was half-assed, and whilst I understand where they're coming from, my apology actually wasn't intended for them, just for the Asian community who may have been offended, because I didn't want to continue to pander to people who were just trying to attack me because it was the cool thing to do. But just so my words will never ever be misconstrued ever again, I apologise to the Asian community for using the slang term dim sum in relation to somebody being dumb. Although my intent was not harboured in racism, my impact was felt that way, and for that I apologise. I'm sorry. So in that video, basically, I was trying to tell you guys that essentially this person, we don't know the race of this person. I was not attacking somebody based on their race. However, and there was a lot of people who also agreed with me that they, in the UK, had heard and had used the words dim sum. And I wasn't going fucking crazy because I thought I was losing my mind, that this was like I even questioned, is what I'm saying based in racism? Because I feel like I've heard a bunch of people say this, but am I wrong? I didn't know. But I had a lot of people who stuck up for me. I also had a lot of people who turned around and said that that was not a thing that existed and it was not true. And that I was trying to hide racism behind something else. Looking back at it now, I understand why people may have attributed salmon to Asian culture, but salmon isn't Asian. It's not something, there's no such thing as salmon dim sum. And I feel like people just were reaching for a moment for me to be racist, because they didn't like me hanging out with quote unquote racist rich lucks. So then
they just try to find some kind of way to make me a racist too, because if I was a racist, then that would make sense, because then that would just fuel everything. And I don't know. I look back at that moment, I'm just like, where were we reaching for here? Because there's no such thing as salmon dim sum. I was eating salmon whilst I was out at dinner with, like, I was actually out at dinner at the time when I made the tweet with Dustin Daly and Tawny Michelle, the tarot girl. So we were all out having dinner, and I was eating salmon at the time. So it was just kind of like this thing I said, but people were trying to say I said salmon because it was, you know, racist towards Asian people, and that my dim sum comment, which me calling somebody dim, stupid, was attributed to like the Asian culture, and I was like trying to hurt people. Anyway, regardless of how many people came to my defense from the UK, might I add, who say I've definitely said this before, there was a video that was made by a young lady called It's Fringy, and I think they made like multiple videos in regards to me. I don't know why they were so pressed, but they were. And basically she said, I'm from South London, or from London, or in some proximity to London, and I've never heard this in my life. Paige is lying. And then people just took her narrative as just like the general status quo. So regardless of how many people said, I've heard this before, it's been used before, it's definitely a phrase. It might not be a common phrase, but it's definitely a thing that happens. People just took this girl's narrative for it and just ran with it. And then I got kind of upset that people were attributing a white woman's experience of Britain to my black experience of Britain, and the slang it is that we would have heard, the culture it is that we would have had, the experiences it is that we would have had, and that it was going to be the same. Like, under no circumstances is my experience the same as a white woman's experience, like, ever. Like, we don't live the same, and that's just period. And it just kind of upset me, because it was just like, you don't know my experience, you don't know my upbringing, you don't know where it is that I came from. And you're telling your audience, who at this moment in time are predominantly US, that this doesn't exist and Paige is lying. And it's like, how can you say for without a shadow of a doubt that I'm lying, or that I'm making up this phrase in order to hide racism, that I didn't really need to, like, why am I going to be outright racist for no reason? Like the conversation that me and this individual were having, it would have been so outlandish and unprovoked. So wouldn't it be more smart to think that Paige was saying that this person was dumb for their remarks towards them, than that this person was racist, like this person was Asian? It just didn't make sense. None of it made sense. And for some reason, because of the time, because people, it's very much like everyone jumping on Gabby Hanna at that one moment in time where she was like public enemy number one. It's very much that, because it was like, there was no rationality behind that. There was, if you really sat down and really thought about it and really focused and really put two and two together, there was no way that what anyone was saying was make sense. That the actual most logical thing is that Paige was calling somebody dumb. I could apologise for how I came across. I can even apologise if that phrase itself is rooted in racism, because there's no evidence really to say that it is, and there's no evidence really to say that it isn't. There's just no evidence. There's no evidence of this phrase besides like a couple of articles here there that I've been able to find of its existence and how it means that somebody is dumb. But for some bizarre reason, no matter how much I show people actual scholarly records, we're not talking about Urban Dictionary, we're talking about scholarly records that are written down in books. No matter how much I show people that these terms exist, nobody believes me. So it's just kind of one of those things that I just have to deal with. But no, I wasn't trying to be racist to a person whose race I will never be able to know, whose avatar was a picture of a cup that was of a white woman. No, I do not believe that I was being racist to that person, and I don't think you should either, because if racism can really truly be deducted to ridiculous phrases like dim sum and no fucking history of racism in connotation to that word or to that phrase, then as far as I'm concerned, we're reaching. And that's exactly how I feel about the situation, is that we're reaching. This account doesn't exist. This account, to this day, no longer fucking exists. The moment that this drama kicks off, this account deleted itself. This account was there for 2 seconds. The account was made like a month prior to me even having this conversation to them. So as far as I'm concerned, this person created this account to cause carnage. And y'all fell for it hook, line, and fucking sinker. And so did I. But at the same time, like, it's not what you think it is. And we just kind of just need to let that die, as far as I'm concerned. I can only apologise if it made people feel some kind of way. But at the end of the day, I can't erase history. So, the anti-Semitic thread. There was a thread that was made by a content creator called In Line with Ellie that was endorsed by somebody who may not be named. And in this thread, they were trying to find out who was the anti-Semite who had been hounding this individual. For some bizarre reason, my name was involved in it. Basically, in this thread, they left the question up, and I will leave it here on the screen, of whether I was involved by using an anti-Semitic dog whistle term. So the dog whistle term was elitist, or elitism, or elite. And apparently I was to have used that word as instructed by the owner of Juvia's Place, Chi-Chi, in order to use it as an anti-Semitic dog whistle as a retaliation to the person who was being hounded by the individuals who were running these accounts. This is categorically untrue and false, fabricated, and I did not like the thread. The reason I didn't like the thread is because it allowed the audience to make their own decisions on factual pieces of information that should have either been evidenced or not. I can't really talk about it much further than that because of the individual it involves, but no, I am not anti-Semitic. Elitism, or the word elite, is not an anti-Semitic dog whistle. If I'm talking about elitism or elite, I'm talking about somebody who is from a different position in life than myself. I didn't grow up rich. I didn't have money. I didn't have circumstances that made things easy for me. So for that reason, if I say that, people are acting with a level of elitism, I'm saying that that person is acting in a way that they don't quite understand the world that everybody else lives in. So, with that being said, I'm not going to take a shot on that one either. Y'all can be mad about that, I guess. But yeah, salute. That one's a dud for me. Okay, so moving on to 2020. 2020 wasn't as eventful as I thought it was in my head, I think, because I can only think of 2 controversies. I'm probably only picking the most important controversies because I really just can't think of anything else that happened in 2020 that rocked my world kind of thing. Okay, so in 2020, the first thing that happened at the beginning of the year is my contract with Gabbi was null and done. So I had a contract with a company called Gabbi, and basically we were creating a line of tea together, and it was supposed to be me as a tea channel, them as tea creators, and we came out with sets with we sent it to a bunch of influencers who unboxed it and all that kind of stuff. It was a really great collab. We made good money. We had a good time. I enjoyed the owners and, understanding them and their lives and all that kind of stuff, but it just all went south. And one of the things it is that I took part in is in 2020, I created a series called The Truth Behind OnlyFans or something like that. And it was like a 3-part series. And I created videos and I created content around the world of OnlyFans because in 2020, in the height of the pandemic, a lot of people were creating OnlyFans accounts in order to subsidize their lifestyles. So I thought it was really good for us to be able to help people who are within the sex industry to be able to understand how it works and understand how it is that you get into it, and that people from all kinds of walks of life were doing it. It started off as a concept for a series, but at the same time it became a part of me developing my identity. As I spoke about early, I felt like my identity as an individual was being stripped from me, and not just that, my sexuality. when your body changes, it becomes very hard to see yourself as a sexual being anymore. And that was like a huge issue for me. So me taking part in OnlyFans and doing adult content, which is something, can I just hold my hands up and say that I'm not adverse to? A lot of you guys know my story. I used to be an escort, all that kind of stuff. But doing it publicly in such a public way, outside the parameters of just having an account and sleeping with people, right? Doing it in such a public way, was different for me. This was a new realm. I was never a cam girl. I was never, anything like that. When I was creating adult content, I didn't really think about brands or affiliations with companies when I was doing that. For me, it was, holy crap, I'm finding my sexuality again. I'm enjoying sex. I'm enjoying myself. I'm enjoying myself with others. And not just that, like, I'm making money from it. And I'm also like creating content to teach people how to make money from this, that it's not so easy. It's not like Easy Street that you're just going to hop onto the platform and make money tomorrow. Like, there's a little bit of grind into it, and that, like, I interviewed people who'd been in the industry and their involvement in the industry and how things have changed. And, I had a really good time creating the series, and it's become one of my most popular series here on the channel. Age restricted, but a good age restricted piece of content it is that I created. Anyway, when that happened, the company Cup of Tea no longer wanted to be affiliated with me. And, their entire reason, and I'm not gonna try and sugarcoat anything, but their entire reason was because I was creating adult content. And I kind of got upset with that. Purely because I kind of felt like as a society, we've kind of moved past adult content creators being the most disgusting, vile scum of the earth. And they were upset that I didn't consult them first before creating adult content. And I was just like, I don't feel like that's a consultation that you have with anybody. But at the same time, they're their own company and they can do what they want, and they chose no longer to be affiliated with me. Yeah. That was basically the be-all and end-all of that situation. Was I hurt? Yes, because this was a company that I invested a lot of money and a lot of time in myself as an individual, because I wanted to see them grow and grow with them. But if anything, it's possibly one of the most positive things that happened, because from the money it is that I used for OnlyFans, I was able to use that money to funnel into my makeup business, my cosmetics business, and, start my own cosmetics, because it made me realize that I'd put so much of my time, money, and resources into the vision of somebody else's instead of putting my time, money, and resources into my own vision. It's like the difference between, decorating a home that you own versus decorating a home that you're renting, and that the only person who's going to benefit from the decorations it is all the time and energy is you've put into renovating and making something better and more brilliant than it was before, is the person who actually truly owns it. And yeah, it was a realization for me that I needed to put money and invest into who I am. And that was the birth of Dramatic Boutique, to be honest. Dramatic Boutique is my baby. That's my baby. That's where I started. That's everything that I wanted to put out into the universe, and I was able to turn that bad situation into a positive one. So I don't have any negative thoughts or feelings towards it anymore. I think at the time I was hurt, of course you would be, but people have different journeys in life, and I don't have any negativity towards that anymore. It's just this thing that happened, this blip in my life. I'd never lost a huge contract like that before, and yeah, it is what it is. There was other contracts that I've lost, but nothing on that magnitude now. So yeah. Okay, so in 2020, there was the outburst of a brand new channel. A channel called Its TeaTime. Now, it's clear that the individuals involved in this channel I just don't like, and I'm never gonna like. They don't seem to like me at all, and will just trash me just for breathing on a Tuesday. And at the beginning, it was very difficult to deal with one specific channel that just disliked you. And I don't know. I don't know. I think I knew how to really truly navigate that correctly. Because it wasn't just them. At one point, there was another channel called T-Trigger who did eventually apologize to me, but that's neither here nor there. The T-Trigger channel lived, and they were really mean and horrible to me and my group of friends, and, were really horrible and mean towards me across social media. And yeah, the whole time was just like a difficult time in general between 2019 to 2020. Them being around as channels was just difficult, and it was hard, especially whilst I was pregnant. It was difficult, but I mean, I guess I've learned how to navigate that now. I just don't try and give these people any energy or any of my time. I used to like retaliate a lot more. I used to, you know, tweet at them. If they tweet me, I'd tweet back, or, you know, but I feel like there's nothing positive or productive that's going to happen from me having any kind of conversation with these people. So I just left it. There's a particular situation that did take place, however, where I just completely lost the plot. And I feel like any parent who was in my circumstances would have lost the plot as well. So if you aren't aware, as I'm talking to you about this right now, I'm literally filming this entire situation on Twitch. So my Twitch family are here with me, essentially, is what I'm trying to say. And there was this whole situation where a commenter of theirs had turned around and said that I had hit my child on a live stream on Twitch, and they did not ask them to fact check, do you have any receipts of that, or even just say, you know, we would prefer it if you didn't say these kind of things or these kind of allegations without tangible proof. Instead of doing that, they just allowed that person to say it, liked it, and went, oh my God, really? Question mark. And it was just like, none of what they said was based in fact. Nobody can recollect this situation. None of my Twitch family can recollect this situation even taking place, including myself. I don't hit my child. I do positive parenting. I do positive discipline. That's the way that I choose to raise my child. I grew up Jamaican, so, you know, there was a lot of beatdowns that happened, not by my mum personally, but by other family members. Like, being spanked and stuff was like the norm, the way that I grew up. So now as an adult, I choose not to spank. That's just not something that I do. I choose not even to raise my voice. I try my best not to raise my voice at my daughter ever, period, because I don't want her to think that getting louder is a way of being heard rather than speaking your point clearly and eloquently. I try my best to teach my daughter the best things that I can teach her and learn from, you know, our parents' parenting mistakes. I feel like that's what we're supposed to do as adults. So it was kind of hurtful for somebody to say something so vehemently untrue, objectively false about me, and for other people to just allow that on their platform. I think it speaks more volumes of their character than it does mine, because to this day no one's been able to prove it. I'm sure if I fucking beat my child, people would be treating me like 8 passengers, you know what I mean? Then people would be dragging me all the way across the internet, and, you know, there'd be clips of me doing this over and over fucking again. So you're telling me that, you know, this happened and nobody said anything? You're telling me that this happened and you didn't report me to the police or to any kind of authorities? Like, so that tells me that it didn't happen, okay? Not that I needed confirmation, because I know it doesn't happen, but that tells me that it didn't happen. And I was upset that these content creators allowed that to happen on their space. As a result of that, I cussed them out big time on the internet. I lost the entire plot. I could not believe that anybody would say anything like that about my parenting, and they would just choose not to correct them. And I even hopped into their live stream and basically said, let's talk. Let's fucking have it out right now. And they chose not to speak to me, which meant that essentially they were only concerned with their narrative and not actually setting the record straight in any capacity. So I just kind of left it as it was. I think throughout a discussion that was happening on Twitter, I don't know whether it was directly related to this situation or a different situation, but with these content creators, one of them is a trans woman. And people were basically saying that this woman was a black woman, and I was like, I wasn't aware that they were a black woman, but even so, their you know, black woman experience isn't comparable to mine. And I think that people saw that as me saying that their black woman experience wasn't comparable to mine because they weren't a woman, and that was not my verbiage, like not even slightly, not even at all. I was speaking mainly from the perspective that I do believe that their co-host is a mixed woman and I myself am a black woman. Therefore, our experiences aren't going to be comparable because we will have experienced two different levels of colorism in life. I don't think anybody got that, but I did make like a public apology, basically saying that like that was not what I was trying to say, and if people got that from my words, then I apologize, but that's not what I was trying to say at all. And yeah, but that wasn't like, if you look back at the tweets, because I don't delete my tweets like that. If you look back on the tweets, like that was not what I was saying. Like not even close, not even remotely close to what I was saying. I ended up having a conversation because people were like, you should apologize. And I was just like, apologize for what? What did I fucking say? Like, is it my fault that you fucking took it personally? Like, that was my stance immediately. Like, you insulated that. You made that about you when it wasn't supposed to be about you. Like, I wasn't even talking like that. And then I had a conversation with a trans friend of mine. And me and them were having a conversation. And I was saying, this is ridiculous, isn't it? Like, what the fuck? And their response to me was to the contrary, which is why I respect when I have genuine criticism from people who actually care, rather than people who are actually trying to bash me. Because she basically said to me, Paige, you have to respect and understand that from their position as a trans woman, nobody's ever actually had to question your gender identity. Your gender identity is obvious. Your gender identity is seen. Nobody questions you or calls you a he or anything like that, or diminishes your gender identity for any reason. So yeah, they may have been sensitive to that, but they were probably sensitive to that due to their personal experiences of having their gender identity questioned by other people. And you just have to be mindful of that. And I was just like, you have a valid point that I, as a cisgender woman, did not think about at all, and I've never had to think about it because I'm a cisgender woman. So that's where my apology was born out of somebody actually explaining to me in a way that makes sense, and in a way that was out of love and not out of trying to tear me down, that I was able to realize, actually, yeah, maybe I should just apologize for how it made them feel, period. Because even if my intent was not that, my impact definitely did feel like that to some people, and I need to make sure that people know that that wasn't my intent. So that's how that situation closed out. But yeah, I don't really know what else to add to that situation. Kind of apologized about that situation at the time. I do believe Mocha, accepted my apology. I don't know what else to add to that one. Still don't like them. But, I mean, they're continuing to make nasty content about me, so I guess I'm never going to like them. I'm coming from, like, a biased point of view. But, yeah, that was that situation in 2020.
Just the honourable mention for 2020 is in relation to this particular tweet. Okay, so a lot of people had a big issue with me tweeting this. One of my friends, Margot Indigo, basically posted about her own child and said, did anyone else's ancestral traits skip a generation so you and your kids almost don't even look related because they got the beautiful genes, because it's baby back bullshit? And then my response to that was, bearing in mind this is my best friend, I said, I had a whole white baby, don't talk to me. So basically, this conversation was stemming from the fact that her son, who has more of Margot's indigenous traits, came out much darker than she is, and my daughter, who has a lot more of her father's white traits, came out white when she was born. This was not colorism. No matter how many times people try and make it out as if it's colorism, or that I was being colorist to my own baby, it's so ridiculous, because reverse colorism doesn't exist. It's very much the same as reverse racism. It doesn't exist. And the reason for that is because it is problematic and it ignores the reality of colour hierarchy. It ignores the reality of privilege, which is precisely why people want to do this in order to ignore it. Basically, colorism as a social hierarchy places greater value on light skin and Eurocentric features and affords greater privilege to people according to where they fall on that colour spectrum. That is colorism. So me saying that I had a white baby isn't colorism or colorist or whatever the fuck it is that you want to call it, because the privilege and power that will be afforded afforded to one is not going to be afforded to another. This is not me hating on my daughter. I don't know where that came from, and I don't know why people attributed such negative connotations to me saying, hey, my child came out vastly different to me, is nuts. And also, I've spoken about this previously, and it's been like a long-standing conversation over on my second channel, which is Life Plus Paige, or Paige Plus Life, whatever the fuck it is. On that channel, I've discussed with my audience what it feels like to be a black mother raising a child that looks nothing like you. And sometimes, especially with my postnatal depression, it attributed to a lot of that, because not being able to see yourself in your child makes you develop this ultimate disconnect from your child once they are born, which is one of those things that can happen when you have postnatal depression, is that you disconnect from your child. It's not that you don't love them, it's not that you don't care about them, it's not that you're not going to be their primary caregiver and give them all the love and attention it is that they deserve and need and want and all that nurturing. It just means that there's this slight disconnect. And when you're walking through life where people will turn around and say, whose kid is that? Oh my god, are you the nanny? And all of this kind of stuff, when you are literally walking with your own child, that allows you to develop that disconnect. My second child went as far as to say, fuck you, fuck your life entirely, bing bong, and decided to grow ginger hair. But this time around, I've kind of developed that closeness and that relationship with my daughter and with him, so there is no like disconnect. I haven't gone through any postnatal depression this time around. I don't understand why I have to like literally dissect my emotions, my feelings, my life, my ins, my outs, and I can't even have a joke on the internet about the fact that as black women we literally can birth any type, any kind, any race, any creed, period. I don't understand why it's just taken as something else. And I feel like there are literally people on the internet who are dedicated just to misunderstanding me. And it becomes a little bit more frustrating.
Okay, so moving on to 2021. We're getting closer, guys. We're getting closer. So, this is my final year. Two big controversies that happened in 2021. The drama between myself and Augie. So if you don't know, there is a content creator called Augie RFC who is a streamer, I guess you'd call him like a streamer who's like a commentator at the same time here on YouTube. I think he has a Twitch as well. I don't know how often it is that he uses his Twitch or anything like that. And he also has quite a large social media presence on Twitter. Now, me and Augie have never seen eye to eye. I don't think that we'll ever see eye to eye, if that makes any sense. But I will, however, say that I did call him a racist. And my reasoning for calling him a racist was for some old tweets where he said the N-word. And I'm of the belief system, and I have been for like the past couple of years, and this is something that I did not do in this situation, of believing that if somebody doesn't continue to show or exhibit that exact same behavior, we have to let these kind of situations go. Like, I feel like people have said, you know, bigoted, ignorant, horrible, hateful things in the past, and we just have to see, well, is this like a pattern with this person? Do they keep doing this, or is this a circumstance where this person you know, said this one thing this one time and they're not that same person today? With Augie, it's not that I believe that he exhibits the same pattern, it's just that he is of the belief system that nothing is off bounds. So nothing is out of bounds. So there's a video as well that I brought up of Augie and co laughing at somebody's drawing of George Floyd being curb stomped or whatever it is that he was going through at that moment, or being asphyxiated, if you will. And the face of George Floyd was of a different content creator, I do believe. I don't know. But they were all laughing. They thought it was funny.
Complete scumbags.
Wow.
Colton,
What? It's a horrible image.
What is wrong with you? Hey, that was Colton? What? Oh.
Yeah, Colton drew that, by the way. It's a picture of me kneeling on Nicholas Diorio's neck.
The type of you're gonna get flat
Yeah.
Augie said he only likes artists that draw pictures of
Hey! Listen.
This is why all artists are bad. Why are you showing this on stream, bro? This is bad.
Nick told me to. This is fucking AIDS.
Nick's an asshole. What the fuck?
I like how they're talking about like my dad in here. Like,
this was just like shortly after the height of Black Lives Matter, and everybody's emotions have been like viscerally high when it comes to crimes against Black people. Now, the reason that I had such a huge issue with Augie was because when it came to race discussion, him and a lot of people felt as if I used my race as a card, to like as like some kind of get out of jail free card. Like I win every single time that I use the fact that I'm Black in a situation. And it's not. For me, it's about just acknowledging that, you know, life is different for me over here. As a Black woman, my life is vastly different to his as a white male. That's just fact. So when I'm discussing certain things and I'm speaking about certain things when it pertains to race and stuff of that nature, I kind of feel like my visceral reaction will always be strong because it pertains to me. You know what I mean? So for instance, and this is the only way that I can like kind of make it make sense to people, is that like being a Black person, existing as a Black person, the crimes that Black people face and the injustice that Black people face and the way that the world views Black people has to be discussed when I'm talking about race, right? When we're having a race discussion, when I'm saying that, you know, this is my experience. It becomes extremely difficult to have a conversation about race whilst negating my own. Whilst negating my own identity. It becomes extremely difficult. I can't sit down and express to somebody, this is what it's like to be a Black person, ... whilst discussing my experience as a Black person. And I feel like it's important to have these discussions where we do acknowledge our race in certain racial discussions, purely because I feel like it allows people to have a little extra level of empathy to know that these are things that happen, that are in existence to people of that demographic, that it's not something that's just heard of, that's like a fantasy of some kind, that it's real and that it exists. And this is how it's felt by these people. Race discussion is important to me. I don't think it's something that I want to have a discussion all the time over, because I do find it quite triggering and just in general. But race discussion is important to me. And I found it difficult with Augie because his response to me was essentially just to have a debate. And I'm not a debater. I'm just not. I'm not a person to sit down and have a debate with people. And for some bizarre reason within the commentary sphere, if one person has an altercation with another person, the instantaneous response is to monetize that and then argue with each other online for entertainment. And I just don't think that that's productive. I don't think that that helps anyone. I don't think that helps anyone see each other's viewpoint. I don't think that that helps anyone gain a better perspective. I don't think that that helps any situation. And something that honestly reinforced this to me is when Augie had his debate with Technicals. They got nowhere. Literally, the pair of them got absolutely nowhere. So it kind of proves my point that debates aren't necessarily necessary. They're just not. Sometimes you can just disagree with somebody, make your video, talk your shit, and just move on. And I just couldn't understand why that was a concept that you couldn't grasp. And I think it's because, like I was saying previously, it's because he didn't like the fact that he was called racist.
Like, I don't understand why you guys want something from me and I'm just saying no, and that's not respect.
You're not just saying no. You're literally lying about me, saying that I'm a racist, saying that I made jokes about like George Floyd and shit on my stream when talking about you. That's literally a bullshit. You tried to say we promoted some racist art that like Colton drew or something. We denounced it. You're just such a liar.
It literally is that simple. Like, literally is that simple. I don't understand this. Like, I've never, like, this is weird. Weird behavior.
But you know it would be good content if she just debated me. Even her own viewers, like, not viewers that I'm bringing to her channel, but her own viewers would fucking love it. You know they would. Because no matter how hard I demolish her in a debate, there'd probably be like I feel like most of her audience would probably just automatically agree with her and say that she won either way. You know what I mean? Like, I don't look at Petty Paige's small fraction of an audience as people that I'm going to be able to, you know, flip in my favor. So her audience would probably like it. They would probably hate me. They'd probably like to see her, you know, destroy me from their perspective. You know what I mean? It'd just be a win-win situation all around. All right?
And I just kind of feel like, and I've said this multiple times as well, I feel like white people specifically are at a very big disadvantage when it comes to entering the world and understanding and dealing with the elements of race within the world, because I feel like they have to actively unlearn systematic oppression, actively unlearn systematic racism, actively unlearn the way it is the various different races are stereotyped, unlearn the fact that they have this inherent, not unlearn, but learn to deal with the fact that they have this inherent privilege that comes along with their race, which is a birthright that they literally can't do anything about. And it's a very difficult situation to be confronted with, where it's like, you're at a privilege better than the rest of the world. Now you need to manage that responsibly. And I feel like it's difficult for a lot of white people to be able to be confronted with that information and think to themselves, holy crap, I have to deal with this responsibly. I've got this additional responsibility that I didn't even ask for. It wasn't my family who did this. You know, I wasn't the person who enslaved people. And that's the instantaneous reaction, is that they want to disassociate from the systemic situation that is happening around us. But it's an unfortunate point that they just have to deal with. And I feel like as I was saying previously, like, everybody has a little bit of racism in them. It's up to us to actively unlearn that and try and become better people. When I'm having these discussions with people, it's impossible to have these discussions with individuals, in my humble opinion, who are unwilling to see anything outside the parameters of it being some kind of oppression Olympics for other people.
Like, for instance, with the George Floyd clip it is that I showed you. Now, granted, it was Augie who was supposedly stepping on the neck of Nicholas DiOrio, and they disavowed that picture, but they still were complicit in the action. They were still giggling. I don't know who was giggling in there, but there was people laughing, saying that Nicholas DiOrio was a dick for wanting this to be shown on the stream. They were still complicit in showing it on the stream. They were still complicit in showing that imagery. And that imagery is triggering to somebody like me, especially a black person who has seen this happen to multiple people, multiple family members, multiple black people around the world. And I can't have a conversation with somebody who refuses to acknowledge that image, whether they think or believe it does or not, has impact to my demographic. And having that kind of a conversation is just pointless, absolutely pointless. I don't think it's going to make anything better at all. But he wants it. And he'll barrage and go at me on social media for ages and ages until he gets it. And the situation, the trope that's being put out there that, oh, Paige is constantly talking about Augie. I will go weeks without talking about him, and then somebody will bring him up. And then it'll be, why won't you debate Augie? And it's like, I'm constantly bombarded by that. And the funniest thing about it all to me is that we're at this space now where I've said to Augie, let's have this discussion. Augie has said, let's have this discussion. And it's been radio silence. I've not heard from him since. So I don't even think he really wants it. Because if he did, he would have taken it up. So now I'm supposed to chase Augie down for the interview it is that he hounded me for like months to get. These clips that I'm showing you are literally from 5-6 months ago. And here we are in 2022. I've even said at the back end of 2021, let's do this in October. And nothing.
And that's the reason why I didn't want to do the debate with Augie. If you guys are aware, then more recently I've said that I will have a conversation with him, not necessarily like a full-blown debate, but I will have a conversation with him off the internet, just me and him, because I've noticed, excuse my voice is going, because I've noticed that in his comment section, especially when he's been talking specifically about myself, then things can get very racist. I've had screenshots and videos of people basically typing the N-word over and over and over, and I don't feel like, for me personally, I don't want to subject myself to racism for the sake of trying to tell my part under any circumstances. I want to subject myself to that. And I don't believe, honestly and truly, that in his online environment that he could actually genuinely stop people from doing that. Because at any given opportunity, it's what I've seen from his audience. And whilst I understand that you can't be responsible for every individual, I think you're responsible for the culture it is that you foster. Hence why me talking about this, owning up to a bunch of different shit it is that I've done and been a part of and been, you know, the catalyst for, is important to me, because I want to change the culture of my audience. I don't want my audience to be, you know, the people who sit down and think that everybody is above reproach. We're all individuals. We're all humans. We all have ups. We all have downs. We all have highs. We all have lows. And I feel like it's important we change the culture if we can. And if we can't change the culture, then acknowledge the culture. Like, I acknowledge that my fan base at times can be toxic. 100%. 100%. I've fostered that environment and I need to change that. So, yes. So that's the whole situation between myself and Augie. In terms of the ins and outs, the specifics, all that kind of stuff, if he wants to have that conversation with me still, because the invitation is still open, he just hasn't responded. But if he wants to have that conversation with me still, we can definitely have that conversation about the specifics of the incident. But in terms of where it is that I'm coming from as a black woman, where I'm coming from as a black woman is just simple, is that it's important to me and my reactions are strong to it because it directly affects me. And that's why. So yeah, that's the Augie situation. Do I take back anything it is that I've said? I definitely take back calling him a shooter. I called him a shooter, and that was a little bit of a step too far. I was angry, and I should not have let my emotions get above me. So I guess for that, let's take a shot of sake, right? Cheers. Oh. 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 Okay, so let's get into the last controversy of 2021, which was mysterious. Okay, so I don't know why this became a controversy. Like, to this day, none of why this became a controversy makes any sense besides the parameters of people want to put two women against each other for no reason. The narrative that is being spun at this very moment in time is that I'm jealous of Mysterious, a woman that I don't know. I've never really truly properly interacted with, whose following I don't agree with. And for some bizarre reason, because I made a video that was the opposite side of the coin, that's contradictory to the video it is that she's made, that it was like some kind of direct attack at them and that I was out to get them. I don't know why that narrative is being spun. I could just disagree with somebody. It's literally not that deep. I can just disagree with somebody and that can just be the end of that situation. I guess that's it. I'm trying to think, is there anything more to it? Oh yes. So I basically pointed out that Superbam, which is the company that has Tana Moja as well as Trisha Paytas on their roster, have been manually claiming a lot of people for a long time, including myself, which is something I showed in my video, that I have also been copy claimed in the exact same manner by Superbam, and that it's just something that happens and it's just something that we just have to deal with. They have no legal footing. It's annoying, but it is what it is, right? And for some bizarre reason, people were just like, I felt like I was supporting what was happening with Superbam, and that's not the case. I don't support what's happening with Superbam at all. But to say that I haven't had it like 50 billion times by a bunch of different companies is a lie. Like, I've been here 5 years. You gotta remember that from my perspective, I was looking at Mysterious, going through the situation, freaking out, and I was like, don't freak out. It's not as deep as you think it is. Here's what's actually happening, right? And for some bizarre reason, me saying, don't freak out, here's what's actually happening, has been spun into like me agreeing that Trisha Paytas was correct for copy striking her and other content creators, when that's not the case. I don't think that the way that Superbam is maneuvering is correct. I don't think that they're good for doing that at all. Is it something that I've experienced multiple times with Trisha Paytas videos as well as Tanamoji videos? 100%. Is it something that I've experienced with other companies that aren't Superbam? 100%. Seventh Studio is another company that do that quite frequently. And yeah, I just guess that is what it is. I don't really know how to make that any different. I think that just sometimes people want to pin two women against each other, and I just don't quite understand why we can't coexist separately. I hear that she's made a response to my video, responding everything back, I guess, and I haven't watched it. I'm just going to be honest. I clocked out after episode 2, but I haven't watched it. But I mean, more power to you, I guess, because she's entitled to defend her corner as well. But I mean, there's no beef. Like, there's just no beef. There's no beef at all. I just don't respect somebody going into somebody else's life, basically saying, or basically alluding to, I can't say that they said this verbatim, but basically alluding to the fact that, you know, they must be lying about their sexual abuse. That somebody can't be a pathological liar and have, you know, a bunch of different issues going on with them at the same time as going through a sexual assault situation. I don't feel like it's the place of public opinion or the court of public opinion to decipher whether somebody was sexually abused or not. And I don't feel like that is a hot take or outlandish. I think that that should be the most human take to take. But for some bizarre reason, that on the internet is just not recognized. It's no, they're a liar because of this. No, she's wrong because of this. They're wrong because of this. And it's just like, I can't say yes or no because I weren't there. So if I can't say yes or no, please tell me how over 100,000 other people can say yes or no that this happened to somebody else. We can't. To be found out that that was or wasn't the case in the future, we don't know. I just don't feel like it's our place to even discuss it. It's not our place to have that conversation. And I sure as hell would not feel comfortable with somebody, like, if I turn around, I've told you about my, like, you know, sexual abuse and all that kind of stuff. Like, my first incident was when I was 8. I have absolutely no tangible proof that that happened to me, but I'm telling you it did. I could not exist with people turning around and saying I was lying about that. Because then how do I prove to you that I wasn't? And it's a situation where the burden of proof doesn't really lie on the quote-unquote victim. And I just feel like this is just not the conversation to be having. Of all the conversations, of all the fuck shit it is that Trisha Paytas has done, people have called them anti-Semitic, people have said that they are racist, people have said that they fetishize certain communities, people have said that they are a pathological liar, people have said this, that, and the third about Trisha Paytas. So much to drag. There is so much to drag. Dragging their experience and sexual assault and sexual abuse is not the place to drag. That's my opinion. You guys can think it's acceptable. I personally don't. But I'm not the police of your morality. I'm the police of my own. And that's just the facts. So that was the mysterious situation. I don't think there's much else to add there. Is there anything else that you guys can think from 2021? Okay, so I have another honourable mention from 2021. The Gabbi Petito situation. Boy, this is going to be the quickest that I'm going to acknowledge something very, very quickly. Okay, so I posted a tweet of a picture of Gabbi Petito crying. This was around the time that the Gabbi Petito case was huge in America. I say huge in America because it just wasn't that big of a story at that particular time in the UK. I didn't know who the fuck Gabbi Petito was. Anywho, I posted a picture of her crying and I said some
offhand tweet about my kid not being able to sleep, and then I used the picture of a crying girl in order to reiterate that. I got a DM from another content creator who basically said to me, Paige, that's Gabbi Petito, the missing girl. I wouldn't post that if I were you. I was like, I didn't know it was Gabbi Petito. I thought it was some other white bitch. I'm just going to be honest. That's what I genuinely thought it was some other white girl. Anywho, when that happened, I took down the picture immediately, and then people just started dragging me on the internet. Like, the picture wasn't even up for, like, honestly, I don't even think it was up for a minute. It really wasn't up that long because I got the DM immediately. I opened DM and I was like, oh shit. So I took it down. I apologized for it immediately as well because I also didn't want to like not acknowledge it. But I deleted the tweet, and the reason I deleted the tweet, because you know I've got like a policy that I don't delete tweets, is because it was very sensitive and it was very raw and it was very new to people. So I didn't want to be like the catalyst of causing other people to be upset or hurt or in pain for whatever reason. Anyway, that was the be-all of the situation. Then people were upset because they were like, you know who Gabbi Petito is because you commented on a post of Gabbi Petito. So Dustin Daly had posted that Gabbi Petito either was dead or passed away, I don't know. And I said, oh, that's so sad. And that was it. So me acknowledging that somebody passing away is sad was apparently like a thing. And then you know what was the worst part about this all? The worst part about it is that people who were so upset with me for posting this thing that I thought was a meme that I took down immediately because it was a genuine mistake, right? Decided to start tweeting at Gabbi Petito's parents that I did this. Like, that was like gonna be the utmost of their, like, they've got a missing daughter and you really want to use that as a catalyst to like drag me? People are fucking nuts on the internet. But it was a genuine mistake. Trust me, if it was something that I intended to do, it would have been there longer than 2 seconds. There's no record of this tweet being there for longer than 2 seconds. And I apologise then, and I profusely apologise now. I'm drinking a glass of wine, I'll take a swig right now for y'all. I also wanted to point out that I was already tweeting about being severely sleep deprived prior to the frigging Gabbi Petito tweet, as well as earlier on that day, I'd actually taken my son to the COVID assessment unit because he was very ill, he was running a temperature, he wasn't eating. So I'd been having a moment with my son all day, and if you guys don't know my son's story, he has been in and out of hospital since the beginning of his birth. Like, I literally wasn't functioning at a normal degree, and people dragged me across the internet because I just didn't put 2 and 2 to fucking gather. And I'm sorry that I didn't, but like, y'all are reading bad faith into literally everything I do. Okay, and last but not least, the end of 2021 for me. I can finally talk about this. So, sometime in, I think it was the 28th or the 29th of August, I made a video about my video being copyright struck by a company that were seeking to protect an individual. The video has since been taken down upon the advice of my legal representative, and I've been involved in possibly one of the most tumultuous legal situations to do with defamation, libel and slander in my entire life. Now, I've had cease and desists happen in the past. I've had legal notices and stuff like that, but nothing that's ever gone far, nothing that's ever been taken seriously. This is the one situation that was taken seriously, and it was horrible. Have I learnt my lesson? 100%. In a sense of, I now have to be like a billion times more careful with the words that are coming out of my mouth, because if people choose to read malice and to read bad faith into what's coming out of my mouth, I guess they can legally, but my position was never from a place of malice. My position was from a place of protecting my channel. And this was a situation where I felt that my channel was vulnerable, and I didn't like the fact that my channel was vulnerable. I was accused of a lot of things. I was accused of criminal blackmail. That was one. I was accused of... I'd have to go through my legal letters, but I was accused of a lot of things.
from my video is that I was accused of a lot of different things, and at one point the clouds seemed dark and grey, and I didn't think that I was going to be able to get out of the situation. I spent all of my savings, like all of it, every single last penny. I spent my dramatic boutique business money that was supposed to be reinvested back into the business. I spent the leftover savings it is that we had to redo our back garden, because we'd been saving to redo our back garden. I'd spent thousands and thousands of pounds on trying to protect myself and trying to protect my YouTube channel. And it's the reason why Dramatic Boutique hasn't come out with a second launch is because I had to use my launch money to protect me. And luckily we're out the other end and nothing further is going to happen from this point. But what I will say is that when I made my original video speaking about the company that had struck me to protect a particular influencer and were doing what they can legally to try and quote unquote silence me, allegedly, God, I hate myself already. But when I was doing all of that, I just wanted to say that I knew what their objective was, and I knew that their objective was a lawsuit, so I knew that I needed to protect myself, and I'm glad that I did. And hopefully this in turn will teach massive companies, such as the one that it was that I was dealing with, not to bully small channels and small content creators, because I was the biggest one and the one with the loudest voice. Hopefully soon I'll be able to tell you guys like the full story of what happened, like the ins and the outs and the ups and the downs. But right now, legally, I can literally only tell you the bare minimum, which was I was involved in something like that. It was very difficult, and I spent every fucking penny I had defending myself. So I'm back to being fucking broke. Love that for me. So yeah, and damn it, I'd protect myself again. I'd do it again. I've learned so much about the legal system and so much about defamation, libel and slander. Yeah, it is what it is. But it's a part of my story, I guess, and how it is that I got to where I am. I mean, to say that I've been here on YouTube 5+ years and I've only just got a huge case is pretty good. So I'm on the outside of that. I'm on the opposite end. So yeah. But that is the end of my story. I don't know quite what else to say to you guys. I apologize that my son is here. He woke up in the middle of the night. But yeah, this is it. This is the end of my story. This was essentially me just going through everything it is that I've been a part of, that I can either A, remember, or B, that was super duper important and didn't pertain to a particular person. Anything outside those parameters, I'm sure I've made so many other more F-ups. And if we could include everything that pertains to that particular person, I swear to God, this video would be even longer than it already is. I did just want to say that, like, you know, this is a part of life, you know, and we learn, we grow, we get better, we get bigger, we become better humans, we try our best, you know, but I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect. I'm not a perfect human being. I sometimes will be moody, I sometimes will be rude, I'm sometimes disrespectful, but I've got to try my best to be better. That's all that I can try my best to do, is I've got to try my best to be better. But it's going to be a learning process. I'm going to have to learn to not hold grudges, to break down walls, to, you know, show kindness to other people. I've got to try my best. And that's literally like all I can do. So with that being said, hopefully this video will set a precedent now to learn and understand that we are changing perspectives, we are learning, we are growing, and that it is normal and that it is natural. And my agenda of 2022 is to humanize everybody, to humanize content creators, to humanize ourselves, and to show change and growth. And hopefully I'll grow somewhere positive. If I grow somewhere negative, then I'll be disappointed in my goddamn self. So, you know, I'm imperfect, but I'm perfectly imperfect. And I'm stubborn, but I fight for what I believe in, and I'm not going to be silenced anymore. And I'm not going to be bullied into submission anymore. So with that being said, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and we'll welcome the new change that is me, Paige Christie, mum of 2, wife of 1. Yes. And until next time, you beautiful, amazing, badass bitches. It's been Paige. Bye. Say bye. Say bye. Mwah.